Good morning, Scott here, known as Cantaloupe to some online, and I'm bringing a video to you on a subject that's interesting to me. It might be of interest to you or someone you know. And I want to talk about misconceptions, popular misconceptions, one in particular being the assumption that the American dream and early education, high school, college, go where they're advertised. What do I mean by advertised? Okay, so if you are a normal person in America, or pretty much anywhere in the civilized world, you've heard the rhetoric, you've heard the spiel about how important education is, how to plan ahead for your health and happiness, your adult life, and your eventual retirement, how to get a career, be career oriented, and leave enough time for fitness and romance, hopefully. And it just the rhetoric kind of trails off at the point where you leave high school. It's expected or perhaps misunderstood that the plan allows for some kind of picking up of autonomy, picking up of control of your life so that you can in fact pursue happiness. But they don't exactly tell you how to do that beyond school, beyond the legal requirements of school, that is. And as far as I know, there's no legal requirement to go to college, but there is a legal requirement to go from K through 12 in this part of the world, at which point they just kind of unceremoniously dump you into adult life, and they say, good luck, have fun, maybe it'll work out, maybe it won't. There are rich people, so if you're curious about whether or not some people are successful, we have plenty of good examples to look at. And while we're at it, we're going to make that our yardstick. We're going to make that our measurement, our unit of measurement. We're going to start at the top and say, look how successful and ostentatious these celebrities are. In fact, we used to have TV shows that were all about this. There was a famous show with Robin Leach called Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. I digress a little bit, but it's on point still. Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous was the epitome of materialistic celebration of absurd, obscene wealth and greed, really. It became the yardstick. And if you weren't on that show, were you even successful? It was kind of the attitude. It was late 80s, kind of early 90s type show. Robin Leach had this quasi-British accent, a little bit ambiguous where it came from, but it was, you can imagine, look up the videos, I'm sure you can still find them if you're interested. But anyway, my point is that the rhetoric in school, the rhetoric and the assumptions by the common person is that there is some avenue to happiness. We assume that our administrators would not lie to us, that happiness can in fact be pursued, and we hear all about it in school while we're there. We hear the pursuit of happiness, the inalienable rights that we have that supposedly support our pursuit of happiness and protect it, but they never make it clear how and when you're supposed to get there, or even if these people who are rich are happy themselves. I want to put this subject on the back burner just for a second. I'm going to create a parallel subject and they will intersect in just a moment. So consider that rich people have money problems, that poor people have money problems, and that money itself doesn't buy happiness. Perhaps you've heard this. Now, what does that mean? Okay, people oftentimes dispute this because they go to the store, they say, if money can't buy happiness, then why does it make me so happy? That's a fair question. It's a fair question. And there's an answer. There's actually a really sensible answer. And it's because you're mistaking the thrill of ownership and the novelty of acquisition with money. You're saying, oh, money is equal to acquiring things, but it's not. It's not for so many reasons. You're mistaking the subject here. Money doesn't buy happiness, but ownership, in fact, is a huge gift. Owning something, calling it your own, requiring no permission from somebody to access it, to use it, to possess it, including yourself, that's a gift. That's a wild gift. That might be the biggest gift that you could ever receive in this life. But money is it facilitates that process, potentially. But there's a problem, isn't there? There's a problem, especially considering that money is so emphasized in our culture. It's emphasized because it's not random. It's not an accident that money is rammed down your throat as the objective, as the solution, as your road to happiness. Because money is very easy to control. Okay. Hear me out. Money is extremely easy to track. We have huge infrastructure just for accounting and bookkeeping and managing money, seeing where it goes, who has it, how much do you got. You can't do anything nowadays without a card, and that's also for a reason connected to this. You will do anything for that money because we've programmed you from day one to obsess about it. You will not have happiness except through money, we're quite sure. And oh, turns out we manage the money. We manage you by way of the money. We control you. We obtain your obedience. We have security ourselves as leaders because you can't do anything without money. It is our leash on you. It is our surveillance system after fashion. We know what's in your bank. We know how much you got. And we're not going to let you get too much. It's actually that easy to manage. If you start getting a little too much and you're not my good friend, then, well, you might find some challenges in your path. I'm just saying. Who am I to say what nature they will be of? But you will find some roadblocks, some barriers to entry if you're not my good friend. If you're not a good old boy, that is. It should start to make sense after a while. When they tell you that the solution is simple, coin up, that's all you got to do. Well, wait a minute, how do I do that? What if, am I allowed to start my own business? Well, let's explore this, because I literally have tried this. Am I allowed to start my own business without being a good old boy? I'll say that twice. Am I allowed to start my own business if I'm not a good old boy? Do you know what a good old boy is? A crony, a friend and confidant of the administrators, the people who are policymakers, information managers, the people that actually make decisions on your behalf, who employ the people to design the road signs and such. You know who I'm talking about. The people who are above the law, the people who pay the cops, the people who organize law enforcement infrastructure, the people who create these facilities and the courtrooms themselves. Somebody has to actually design all this stuff in paper and in principle and in construction. Somebody is behind all of these decisions, and you don't see these people very often. But these are the people who are telling you that money is the answer. You just need to, go vote if you don't like what's happening, if you feel used and abused, if you feel put upon, if you feel like you're enslaved, because, well, we don't want to talk about that too much. We found out that, by the age of 18, you start asking some very pointed questions. People over the age of 18 start to be articulate, and they start to be reflective and cognizant of their slavery. They start to question things a little too pointedly. But by then, as it turns out, you're waist deep in your futile attempt to climb the rungs in a promise that will never be fulfilled at your job, if you even have a job. So I guess my point here, I'm kind of just spitballing, I'm shooting from the hip, but none of this is untrue. There is a very large lie that keeps the people in power in power. There's a very large lie that money equals happiness, that you can buy a solution that you should buy, what they sell, whatever it is, and if you don't, you're un-American. And if you don't, then you have no sympathy. You don't have our pity. If you didn't play the game, well, you had to at least play the game. Sure, it's rigged, and sure, only our friends win. But did you even play the game? Oh, you didn't? Well, I can't take responsibility for your situation then. If you didn't play our rigged game, I tell you what. If you want to continue on thinking that there's some career for you after college without having a network, without having paid your dues, without knowing people, without having them open the doors for you, God bless you. But I tell you what, if you don't know people, you won't leave square one. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And it's unfortunately very true. And I'm not even saying that you can possibly get to know the right people if you have controversial views, if you are a protester, if you object, if you stand up too staunchly for civil rights, for example, if you rock the boat, if you create too many waves, you will alienate the people that you need to open doors for you, and you will never leave square one. And if you think there's some avenue, you're mistaken. If you think that there's any possible way to happiness or success in this world besides placating the architects of the system itself, you are mistaken, until at which point that system is removed, until at which point the system is reformed and based again on a proper yardstick that measures from the bottom, not the top, that is based on being what it's supposed to be about, not serving the few, but serving the many. I insist. Take your time and think about it. Reach out with questions or comments down below. Thank you.